The request came on a quiet afternoon when the house felt too still, and Daniel noticed the silence before he noticed his mother standing in the kitchen with her phone held tightly in both hands, her shoulders slightly bent as if carrying an invisible weight, and when she asked him to film a moment with their dog, Milo, her voice sounded careful, almost fragile, which made Daniel pause because she never asked for help with small things, not since his father left and she learned to do everything alone. And as Daniel agreed and lifted his own phone, a strange urgency filled the room, like time had suddenly decided to move faster, and Milo sensed it too, trotting over with soft steps and a hopeful look, his tail tapping against the cabinets while Daniel's mother knelt slowly, brushing her fingers through Milo's fur with a tenderness that made Daniel's chest tighten, because he realized how much of her love had nowhere else to go. And as the camera started recording, she smiled at Milo in a way that was not meant for the lens but for memory, for someone who might see this later, and she spoke softly, thanking Milo for being there every morning and every night, for listening when no one else was around, for filling the spaces where laughter used to live, and Daniel felt the pace of his own thoughts quicken as images rushed through his mind, of late dinners eaten in silence, of lights turned off one by one in a house that once felt louder, and he kept filming because stopping felt wrong because this moment was moving forward whether he understood it or not, and his mother's voice wavered just once, barely enough to hear, but enough for Daniel to feel it, like a small crack in a wall that had been standing for years, and Milo looked up at her with calm eyes, grounding her, anchoring her, and Daniel realized that this simple request was not simple at all. It was a confession wrapped in routine, a piece of her heart finally asking to be seen, and the pace of the moment pushed forward as she hugged Milo close, whispering things Daniel had never heard her say out loud, about staying strong, about choosing kindness even when it hurts, about not giving up on love even when it feels safer to stop believing in it, and Daniel's hands trembled slightly as he held the phone steady, because he understood that this was not just a video but a turning point, the kind that doesn't announce itself with noise but changes everything quietly, and the room seemed smaller as emotion filled it, tighter, warmer, heavier, and Daniel felt a pull toward his mother, a mix of protectiveness and respect, because he saw her not just as a parent but as a woman who had loved deeply and lost quietly, and the moment rushed on as she finally looked toward the camera, not directly at it but past it, as if looking at someone far away, someone she had not spoken to in years, and in that look Daniel saw longing, regret, and hope layered together, moving fast through her expression, before she masked it with a gentle smile, and he knew then that whatever came next would not be small, that this short recording was the first step in something she had been holding back for a long time, and as Milo leaned into her and she laughed softly, the sound brief but real, Daniel felt surprised by how alive the moment felt, how full, how final and beginning at the same time, and when she finally stood up and said that was enough, her voice lighter but her eyes still shining, Daniel stopped recording but did not move, because he understood that the story had already started, and nothing in that house or in their lives would stay exactly the same after this. The camera was still warm in Daniel's hand when his mother turned away from him and focused fully on Milo again, as if the world outside that small circle no longer mattered, and she kept talking to the dog even though the recording had ended, her words coming faster now, lighter but deeper at the same time, telling Milo how good he was, how he always knew when to sit close, how he somehow understood silence better than people ever did. And Daniel stayed quiet, watching her move through the room with slow steps while her thoughts seemed to run ahead of her. And the pace of the moment shifted from careful to urgent, as if something inside her had opened and could not be closed again. And she picked up Milo's leash, then put it down, then smoothed her hair, then laughed softly at herself. And Daniel felt the weight of years pressing into this short space of time, because he remembered nights when she would sit alone on the couch staring at nothing, mornings when she would wake early just to avoid thinking too much. And now there was motion, purpose, a quiet fire that made the air feel different. And when she finally spoke to Daniel again, her voice carried a calm strength that surprised him. And she said she wanted to send the video to someone, not explaining at first who that person was, just saying it mattered. And Daniel felt a quick mix of confusion and curiosity, because his mother rarely spoke about her past, especially about love. And when she finally said the name, it landed gently but firmly, like a door opening without noise. And Daniel recognized it from old stories, from half-finished sentences and pauses that never got filled. And the pace of his thoughts picked up as he realized this was not a random choice. This was something she had been building toward quietly, and she explained that the person had once loved Milo too, had once walked these same rooms, had once promised things that life did not allow. And as she spoke, Daniel saw her not as someone stuck in loss but as someone brave enough to face it again. And the room felt smaller as emotion moved quickly between them. And she asked Daniel what he thought, not seeking permission but understanding. And Daniel answered honestly, telling her he thought it was time she stopped carrying everything alone. And the words surprised him as much as they surprised her, because saying them made them real. And she smiled then, a full smile that reached her eyes. And for a moment Daniel felt something close to relief, as if a long-held breath had finally been released. And the rest of the day moved fast, with small actions carrying big meaning. His mother choosing clothes carefully, then changing her mind, then sitting down to watch Milo sleep as if grounding herself before taking the next step. And Daniel noticed how alive she seemed, how the tired edges of her movements had softened. And later, that evening, when she finally sent the video, she did it without ceremony, no dramatic words, just a quiet tap on the screen. And Daniel watched her face as she waited, seeing nervous energy flicker behind her calm. And time seemed to speed up and slow down all at once. Minutes stretching, thoughts racing. And Daniel realized that this was not about reopening old wounds but about honoring feelings that never fully disappeared. And as night settled in, the house felt warmer, less empty, filled with a sense of possibility that had been missing for years. And when his mother finally went to bed, Daniel stayed awake, replaying the moment in his mind, understanding that what he witnessed was not weakness but courage, the kind that chooses hope even when it risks pain. And he knew that whatever answer came next would change more than just his mother's heart. It would change the shape of their future in ways he could not yet see, but somehow he felt ready for it, because the silence that once ruled their home had finally been broken by something honest. And that made all the difference. The next morning arrived too quickly, and Daniel felt it the moment he opened his eyes, a sharp sense that something important was already moving without waiting for him. And he found his mother in the living room before sunrise, sitting straight on the couch with her phone resting face down on the table. Milo curled at her feet like a quiet guard, and the air felt charged, full of waiting, and she looked up at Daniel with a soft smile that tried to hide nerves, telling him she barely slept, not from fear but from memory rushing back too fast. And as the minutes passed, the pace of the day built around that phone, every sound louder, every pause heavier, and Daniel made coffee he barely tasted, watching his mother move from window to window, checking the light, smoothing the edge of a pillow, stopping herself from checking the phone again and again. And he saw how hope can make even simple actions feel urgent. And when she finally spoke, she told Daniel more about the person she had sent the video to, about how they met long before life became complicated, how love had grown easily then, without effort, without fear. And Daniel listened closely, feeling like he was hearing a version of his mother he had never fully known, a woman who once laughed louder, trusted deeper, and believed the future would always wait. And her words moved fast, spilling out as if holding them back no longer made sense. And she explained how life pulled them apart not with anger but with timing, choices that felt right then but heavy later. And as she talked, Daniel realized that some love does not end, it only goes quiet, waiting for the right moment to be heard again. And suddenly the phone buzzed, sharp and loud in the still room, and everything stopped. Daniel's breath, Milo's tail, his mother's hands midair, and for one long second no one moved. And then she picked up the phone with care, like it might break if handled too fast. And her eyes scanned the message quickly, then again, slower, and Daniel watched her face change in real time, surprise softening into warmth, then into something deeper, something like relief mixed with disbelief. And she sat down heavily, holding the phone to her chest, and whispered that he remembered Milo, that he thanked her for the video, that he said he never forgot those quiet mornings. And the pace of the moment surged forward as emotion filled the room. And Daniel felt his throat tighten as he realized how powerful simple memories can be, how they survive distance and time. And his mother began to cry then, not loud, not breaking down, but steady tears that carried years with them. And Daniel sat beside her, not speaking, letting the moment move as it needed to. And when she finally spoke again, she said the message felt like a door opening, not forcing anything, just allowing space. And the rest of the day moved fast after that, full of small steps that felt big. Messages sent and received, pauses filled with thought, smiles appearing when she thought Daniel was not looking, and Milo followed her everywhere, sensing the shift, grounding her whenever nerves rose too high, and Daniel noticed how the house itself felt different, lighter, as if it had been waiting for this change too. And by evening his mother told him they planned to talk, really talk, not just through messages, and Daniel felt a mix of excitement and worry for her, knowing that reopening the past takes courage, but also knowing that some risks